Hello, and welcome to the Global Technology Initiative Submission Training. My name is John, and I'll be your guide through this training on the technology work intake submission process. In this training, I'm going to cover the key find out questions. What is the Global Technology Initiative submission or work intake process? Who should use the work intake process? Where is the submission form located? How does it work? And what can be expected from the process? First up, the question of what. What is the Global Technology Initiative submission process or work intake process? The work intake process serves as the official channel for new, larger scale work to be presented and prioritized for the technology teams. The objective is to have a collaborative process in place to effectively funnel work to the technology teams while providing transparency to requesters and all stakeholders involved. The Enterprise Program Management Office, or EPMO, oversees the work intake process. So, what must be submitted to the work intake process? Quite simply, projects that require work from the technology teams. For example, if you are setting up a relationship with a vendor and they need to receive an automated flow of data from one of our systems, this will require development from technology. Thus, this project should be submitted to the work intake process. Other criteria include projects that span multiple sprints or work cycles, or those projects that you suspect will take a technology team longer than 2 weeks to complete. Projects that involve multiple technology disciplines like SAP and web, or web and commissions, for example. Projects that have a high value, such as the possibility of significant increase in revenue, the possibility of increased costs or expenses, or the possibility of significant cost savings. For any of these high value reasons, a work intake request should be submitted so that it can be brought to the attention of executive management and receive the proper analysis and priority. All right, let's talk about what projects do not need to be submitted to the work intake process. First, any projects that have no development needs or technological connection with NewSkin. For example, if you are working on refining an order fulfillment process and you are focused on how the boxes are filled by the employees, this does not need to be submitted to the work intake process. Many times, third-party vendors are brought on board to help NewSkin, but the work they will be doing has no technological tie with NewSkin, so the project involving them does not need to be submitted to the work intake process. You do not need to submit projects that can be classified as keeping the lights on, or KLO. This would be any work like regular maintenance or updates to websites, databases, or infrastructure systems. Do not submit anything that you would normally request through Service Desk, like a new computer or access. Last, small development requests that can be accomplished in 2 weeks or less. Typically, small development requests can be facilitated directly with the product owner and don't need to be submitted to the work intake process. However, to help with vetting and prioritizing, the product owner may ask you to submit your small request to the work intake process anyway. If you are unsure if your request is small or not, please discuss the request with one of the product owners or email globalpmo@newskin.com. Now, let's talk about the who question. Who can submit a new work request? In short, anyone. However, the work intake form is primarily focused on the business case and the financial analysis of the project. For this reason, it would typically fall to the business or process or project owners to fill out and submit the work intake request. Since the business case and financial analysis are quite detailed, it is usually best if the person most familiar with the project fill out the work intake request rather than perhaps a supervisor or leadership upline that may only be familiar with what the project is. I'm now going to discuss where the technology project request can be submitted. The work intake form and submission can be accessed by Insider and the Global Technology Portal. Go to Insider, mouse over the header titled Global Resources, and a drop-down menu will appear. Click on the link titled Other Resources. When that page loads, click on the Technology rectangle. When that page loads, click on the blue box titled Work Intake Submission. This final page is the home page for the work intake process. Here you will find the steps for filling out and submitting your work intake request. Feel free to return to this page at any time to get information about the work intake process. By scrolling down a little, you will see 2 major steps. Step 1 is asking you to click on the link to download the business case project proposal, and Step 2 is the submission form where you will submit your completed business case. I'm now going to discuss how to fill out the work intake submission form. Starting at the work intake homepage, begin with Step 1 by clicking on the Excel icon, which will open the business case project proposal spreadsheet. When the spreadsheet opens, you will see a tab with instructions. It is very important to follow these instructions so as to leave the spreadsheet blank for the next person requesting work from technology. This spreadsheet contains all the necessary questions and fields for you to submit a complete business case to the work intake process. Due to the high cost and limited availability of technology development resources, it is imperative that you fill out this spreadsheet completely. This form is your way to provide justification for consuming precious technology resources, so I can't emphasize enough. Provide as much detail in these tabs as possible. To help you fill out the spreadsheet completely, it has been designed as a worksheet, progressively building from one tab to the next. As data is added to each tab, the summarized results are compiled in the last tab, Step 5, Initiative Form. For this reason, it is essential that you visit each step and fill in the appropriate information. The Cost tab is listed first, since every project has costs associated with it, and it's expected that you will provide the details and costs associated with this project. Additionally, it is understood that not every project will have cost savings or contribute to revenue, so it is possible that these tabs may get skipped. Having said that, the more information you can provide regarding cost savings or revenue, the more likely it is to justify pursuing this project into development. Looking at the Step 1 Costs tab, the first thing to note is that you only need to input data and edit cells in the gold highlighted cells of the template. The Cost tab is inclusive of all expenses that are related to your project, so be sure to identify and fill out any costs related to your project in the coinciding tables on this tab. As you fill out the gold areas, the sheet will automatically calculate the results in the top table, so double check to ensure this looks right. When you scroll down, you will see several tables that are formatted the same. Please add data for each column in these sections using as many lines as you have expenses for. Moving to the next tab, Step 2, Cost Savings. Cost savings are relatively straightforward. Any expenses stopped, reduced, or avoided because of your project will be input here. Please add data for each column in these sections using as many lines as you have cost savings. Use the summary table at the top of the tab to check that your cost savings look correct. The next tab is Step 3, Revenue. Please fill out the assumptions table by answering the questions on the left and adding any comments to help clarify. Moving down the sheet, identify your project's revenue impact on the markets and use the respective table to adjust. The 4 revenue categories are incremental sales leaders, improved retention rate, increasing average order value, and incremental customers. Let's suppose that careful analysis of my project has revealed that it will contribute to an increase in average order value. To enter this, simply put the percent that you project the average order will go up by. The spreadsheet will calculate this against historical and accurate revenue numbers to produce a dollar amount. Be sure to enter this per line corresponding with the market region in the left column. Please note that if your project drives future incremental revenue, there should be supporting analysis that justifies the percentage increase. If you need assistance forecasting any anticipated incremental revenue, please reach out to your FP&A partner to assist. The next tab is Step 4, Results. On this tab, the only thing to enter is the start year in the assumptions box. As the name implies, this tab is presenting the calculated results from the preceding tabs. The business case results table is the most important output and will be used to add financial data to the Step 5 Initiative Form. The next tab is Step 5 Initiative Form. This tab is where you will document your business case, including what you expect technology to build, vendor information, complexity, and key performance indicators. Since this tab constitutes the majority of your project information, I'll offer additional explanation of each part. Starting at the top, fill out the ownership information and be sure to include the cost center responsible for the project. Please only enter one email address for the primary contact and the business owner. Next, fill out the business case section. For the executive summary, this is your opportunity to explain the reason for this project. The questions serve as a guide, but please be as detailed as possible so we can fully understand this project. In the minimum viable product section, this is where you need to explain in as much detail as possible what you need technology to build for you. Let us know if there are any additional features that would be nice to have but are not required. How does this project relate to the 4 Ps? How does this project get us closer to New Vision 2025? When do you need it and why? Finally, what region will this serve? Moving down the form, let us know if a vendor is needed or if one has already been selected. Let us know your thoughts on the compliance and complexity of this project. You will see your financial data has been auto-populated, but don't forget to let us know if this project is for current or future budget targets. Finally, please enter any key performance indicators that can be used to track the performance of your project. After you have completed your business case project proposal, it is now time to submit it to be reviewed and approved. Return to the Work Intake homepage and scroll down till you can see the submission form under Step 2. Enter the name of your project, but please be sure to not use any punctuation or special characters. Click the blue button to select and upload your saved business case project proposal. Click the next blue button to select and upload any supporting documentation you have. You may not have any additional documentation, and that is okay. Finally, click the Submit button. Your technology work request has now been submitted to the work intake process. Finally, we're going to talk about what you can expect from the work intake process. So what can you expect from the process? This process is designed to be thorough. We want to understand how your project will fit within Nu Skin's objectives, goals, priorities, strategy, and technology ecosystem. If there's an urgent need, this can be discussed and priority focus can be applied. Finally, it is important to note that once your request has been approved, it does not guarantee that work will begin immediately. Your request will be added to a backlog where it will wait to be roadmapped and then planned in quarterly and sprint planning. So how does the approval process work? Well, the EPMO oversees the entire work intake process. A project manager, like me, will shepherd, guide, and where necessary, nag the request through a series of gates seen here. In the EPMO gate, the project manager will review the request for accuracy and content. This may require a meeting with the requester and/or project sponsor. The PM will also work with finance, CX, and legal to ensure the request is valid and meets Nu Skin standards. Once approved from the EPMO, the request will be reviewed by the Gate 0 team. Here, representatives from programs, products, platforms, and promotions will assess the request. They will be reviewing the request details to ensure alignment with overall Nu Skin objectives, goals, and priorities, as well as with the business priorities and strategy. Once the Gate 0 team approves, the request will be evaluated by the Gate 1 team. Here, it will be determined if the technology team is able to perform and support the work. Once it has been approved by Gate 1, the request moves to Gate 2. Here, the technology architects will learn all they can about the request, including meeting with the requesters to gain a full understanding of the project. They will endeavor to draft an architectural design, which will be reviewed by the Architectural Review Board, information security, and data privacy teams. They will also establish the scope and technical dependencies as well as the high-level resources needed. Once Gate 2 has approved, the request will move to Gate 3. Here, the request will either be converted to a project by a program manager or it will have an epic created in Jira. These projects or epics will be added to the appropriate backlogs and the request is handed off to the program managers and product owners to move forward toward development. This concludes our training on the technology work intake process. If you need any help or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please contact Global PMO at nuskin.com. Thank you for your time and attention.